Hi, mamas. I'm so happy to be here with you today. My name is Angie, and I serve here at Substance in our worship ministry. And my husband, Chad, is also a pastor here. And we love doing life and ministry together, along with our two kids, Louie, who's 9, almost 10, and Georgie, who just turned 7. So I've got almost 4th grader, almost 2nd grader here. Our lives are so busy and so full and so fun. School-aged kids, it's been my favorite season, truly. Whether we're at a football game, a piano lesson, a dance recital, like you name it. It's busy, but it is so much fun. So hang tight, mamas, if you're not there yet. The school-aged years are a blast. I am so thrilled to be sharing with you all again today. As soon as I found out all about this year's theme of being anchored, I knew exactly what story I wanted to share. We're going to head over to 1 Kings chapter 17 today and dive into what has always been my absolute favorite Bible story as a kid. I always wanted to hear this one over and over and over again, and it feels like so random to have this be your favorite Bible story, but it truly is, and I'm so happy to be revisiting it with you today. But first things first, I want to give a little bit of context about what's going on at this time in the Bible. Israel was in a very severe famine. There was a huge drought. People were suffering and dying because of it. King Ahab was in charge. He and Queen Jezebel had everybody worshiping Baal, and it was just like a giant mess. And in 1 Kings 17, we meet Elijah for the first time, the prophet, who just wanted to get everybody to turn back to God and away from their idolatry. So he confronts King Ahab. He sees miracles. He raises a young boy from the dead. All this like very exciting stuff. So I just recommend that you would go read the whole chapter when we're done here because there's a lot going on. But we're going to jump in right at verse 8. So 1 Kings 17:8. And it starts here. It says, "Then the word of the Lord came to him," talking about Elijah, "Go at once to Zarephath of Sidon and stay there. I have commanded a widow in that place to supply you with food." So he went to Zarephath. When he came to the town gate, a widow was there gathering sticks. He called to her and asked, "Would you bring me a little water in a jar so I may have a drink?" As she was going to get it, he called, "And bring me, please, a piece of bread." "As surely as the Lord your God lives," she replied, "I don't have any bread, only a handful of flour in a jar and a little oil in a jug. I'm gathering a few sticks to take home and make a meal for myself and my son so that we may eat it and die." Elijah said to her, "Don't be afraid. Go home and do as you have said. But first, make a small cake of bread for me from what you have and bring it to me, and then make something for yourself and your son. For this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. The jar of flour will not be used up, and the jug of oil will not run dry until the day the Lord gives rain on the land." So, wow, first. But I think about this from the mom standpoint, right? Because I'm a mom. Someone shows up at my door, I'm going to get you a glass of water. Sure, that's fine. A loaf of bread, I'm literally gathering sticks and preparing to starve to death with my son. But sure, random guy, like let me leave you with whatever I have left. This makes total sense, right? Not at all. And I'm sure that's what some of the things that were going through her mind at that time, right? So let's continue at verse 15. She went away and did as Elijah told her. So there was food every day for Elijah and for the woman and her family. Okay, so she obediently did what Elijah told her to do. She chose to believe the word he had received from the Lord, and she acted in faith. And what happened? Let's continue through verse 16. It says, "For the jar of flour was not used up, and the jug of oil did not run dry, in keeping with the word of the Lord spoken by Elijah." Every single time she went to her jars, there was enough oil and enough flour to make bread for all of them. God continued to provide, all because the widow was obedient and chose to trust that God would continue to sustain her. I think that this is just a beautiful picture of what it means to be anchored in the Lord. When we hold fast to our faith and to the promises of God, He keeps us steady and secure, even in the middle of a storm. And when you have a boat in the middle of a storm with an anchor, it doesn't mean that everything's going to be calm all the time. But it does mean that when the wind blows, your boat's going to stay in the same place. It's not going to go off too far. And I don't know about you, but sometimes in the midst of the busyness of life, like those football games and the piano lessons I mentioned earlier, among a whole other host of daily tasks and appointments, it feels like my jar is completely empty and there's nothing more to give. And as moms, that's our story. Like we're always giving to the point of where we feel like we've got nothing left. But I'm here to share some truth with you today. The same God who continued to fill the jars for the widow of Zarephath will continue to fill yours as long as you stay anchored to him. In fact, the Bible says his power is made perfect in our weakness. He just asks us to take whatever little we feel we have left and surrender it to him in faith and obedience. The surrender and the faith come first before the provision. Your jar will not run dry when you stay close to him. The circumstances might not change immediately, but God remains faithful and his promises are true, and he will provide whatever you need today or any day. And you might not feel strong or full right now, but our God has exactly what you need, and he will be your strength every single day. And I hope this encourages you in whatever season you're in. Our jars can be empty all over the place. In motherhood, in our finances, our jars can feel empty with our husbands. Our jars can feel empty with our friends. Our jars can feel empty with our jobs. But whatever season you're in, wherever you feel empty, the Bible says we have hope in Jesus as our anchor. And as a mom, that encourages me so deeply. I pray that it speaks to you as it has to me, and that you can find more joy, more peace, and more hope in Jesus as you remain anchored and steady in him. Thanks for joining me today. Have a great week.